Noel, who is coming up next, my friend?
I'm so excited about this one. So, not that many people excite me in the pizza world right now, but believe it or not, I'm excited by the idea of frozen dough and frozen pizza, and I'll tell you why.
Is it getting cold in here? Sebastian, if you're there, let's go ahead and get our video on. Noel, tell me why.
I'll tell you why. Because these days, a lot of my clients are getting into pizza kits, right? A lot of my clients are getting into frozen dough for pizza kits and also Artisan frozen pizza. And so I'll tell a quick story, then we'll bring Sebastian on. I was working at SoCal Gas probably 12 years ago. Nicole was producing an event there, and there was a gentleman next to me who was working for Irinox, and I'd never heard of this company. They had something called blast chillers. I'm not quite sure what they are to this day, but hopefully we'll get an explanation shortly. So this gentleman kept on bugging me. He's like, Noel, I want to show you something. Give me one of your pizzas. Give me one of your slices. I'm like, no. It's a 2-day thing. We're short on pizza. Finally, last day, last few pizzas, I gave him one, right? And I'm just standing around eating pizza with a few chefs, and I gave him an asparagus pizza, which is a really hard thing to freeze. He's like, give me that. So I baked it to about 90%. I gave it to him. Then I baked another one, and we had a few more doughs left, and I was eating them with these chefs. About 20 minutes later, he comes back with this frozen asparagus pizza, right? Mozzarella cheese, impossible to freeze. Asparagus, impossible to freeze. Fresh tomatoes, impossible to freeze, high water content. We put it back in the oven for 2 minutes, and we eat it side by side next to a fresh pizza that just came out, and they were almost indistinguishable. And from that day, I've been sold on this technology, and I've been extolling its virtues, and that's why I wanted to bring Irinox on. They were the last sponsor that signed on, so thanks to Irinox for signing on. I'm super happy to have them, and I think Sebastian is standing by.
Yeah, Sebastian, let's go ahead and get your video and microphone on, and we will be in the chat. I will be putting their info in the chat, and a special thanks to Irinox for being a supporter and sponsor.
Yes, perfect.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? We're very pleased to be here. And Noel, thank you so much for the great shout out to the one and only Tim Murray. I mean, you'll be hard pressed to find anybody in the country that has that kind of wealth of knowledge of blast chilling and shock freezing that he has. So I'm glad that he was able to show you a couple of things as well in regards to freezing the pizza.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. I know that there's a lot of information to get through. And so let me just ask you one question. When people talk about shock freezing and blast chilling, what are they talking about?
Well, what we are talking about is the rapid removal of heat of a food product. And specifically, since we're talking about frozen pizza and frozen dough, in the shock freezing part, it is all about microcrystallization. A big thing is the macro versus micro crystallization. Macro crystallization, everybody knows this. I used to have a grandma like that, grandma's freezer where things went to die. You know, that snowball in the back that you don't even know what it is anymore, freezer burned and all to bits and pieces. We aim to do it differently. We have a great little example right here, what macro versus microcrystallization is. Microcrystallization is about small crystals forming that do not penetrate or pierce the cell structure of the product that you're freezing, and there's nothing more brittle than berries. So we have a great little example right here of berries. The ones that you see right here that I'm pointing at is a terrific example of what you don't want. This is your regular store-bought frozen berries. It comes out to be a puddle of goop. You know, you can see all the juices coming out of it. It's just bleeding all over. And you can transfer that really to almost anything else that you're freezing. It's really all about making sure microcrystals are being formed. Rapid freezing, which is what we do. The berries that you see right here in the middle, this is how the berries come out when they are actually shock frozen in an Irinox. And on the left, on your right, you can see how they reconstitute. And you can see just this big difference in how these berries come out. You don't see any bleeding. These berries are still intact, beautiful, whole, taste great. This is what you want to achieve when we're talking about shock freezing. This is the microcrystallization that we aim for.
Now, I've seen this before, and I didn't really believe it. Every single time somebody shows me an example of what blast chilling can do, I don't believe it. But then, I mean, I wish we could taste and feel what you're talking about. But this is really amazing. So, how do those berries? How do they relate to pizza and bread and dough?
Well, anything really that has a moisture content is really affected by this. When we're talking about microcrystallization, we're talking about a cell that has moisture inside of it. May it be a dough, may it be a berry. If you're slowly freezing this, it's just physics that water will expand. And as it expands, it will pierce the membrane of the cell wall. And then when you thaw it out, that's what you see in this purge. Microcrystallization means that you get small snow-like crystals that form on the inside that do not penetrate the cell structure. So you don't see anything like freezer burn, you don't see any purge on the plate, and you see less impact on, for instance, in dough, the gluten structure in the dough as well.
Got it. Now, one of the things that I mentioned before is that I've got a lot of clients that are transitioning, right, from, sit-down restaurants to delivery, right, to pickup. They're doing frozen dough kits. They're doing artisan frozen pizza. One of the things that I'm trying to get them to understand is how they can use this time, right, to open new markets for themselves, right, so that people come in and they buy a pizza and a salad and they can take a frozen pizza to go, right?
Yeah.
Also, the quality of the frozen pizza and the frozen dough. Can you help us understand, like, do you need how big of a freezer or a blast chiller do you need if you're just like a mom and pop pizzeria?
I mean, it's a perfect example. Right behind me here is our MS30, the multi-fresh MS30, which is a prime example of a smaller unit that you can either get with one of these customized stands or under counter. This is really enough. We did all of the freezing and everything in there. So if you're just a small operation looking to expand your operation as it is right now, or maybe just start looking at prepping differently, starting to bulk prep differently, maybe working ahead of time. And let me show you a great example since you mentioned dough balls. We actually took these dough balls this morning, and we literally just shaped them and then shock froze them in a technique that we have with our unit, which is a chill and freeze. This chill and freeze cycle allows for the leavening agents inside of this dough to remain alive. And actually, once you slack this dough out, you still will see the dough rising and proofing, and you will not need to add any extra leaveners into this or any extra product that might change your flavor or might change the profile of your dough. As you can see, there's no bubble on this at all. This proofing process was immediately stopped by the chilling. And then when we went into the blast chilling, the shock freezing cycle of this is the perfect example. And you can see these are rock hard. So you get about a 30-day shelf life out of these once they're frozen. So not just in maybe sending out these kits of pizza, but maybe you just want to start operating at a different level, start prepping ahead, maybe not worry about whether or not your prep cook's coming in that day or if you might miss a day of production.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you have small units and you have large units. And so, one of the things that it's for me, it's hard to get used to, but the idea that I see that's so valuable is that when your line slows down, when you're not as busy, for instance, in between lunch and dinner, right? This is a great time to go back into production, start turning out pizzas and feed them. Can you literally feed them right out of the oven into the blast chiller?
Absolutely. I mean, we're purpose built, and I always love to point this out. Anything that you do with us, we want you to do directly from the heat source. The biggest battle in any kind of blast chilling and shock freezing is getting product from the cooking temperature chilled down. You want to avoid evaporation, you want to avoid any dehydration in the dough, and then you want to go right into preserving that very specific moment in time. I mean, you guys are the experts out there. You know what you want your pizza to look like. Wouldn't it be amazing if you can just pull it out exactly at that spot from the oven and throw it into the freezer and be able to preserve that moment and then give that to your customers to take home or maybe ship it down? And you mentioned different sizes just because of how we're standing right here. As another example, this is our largest reach-in unit that we offer. This is our MS70. The MS70 is, again, the largest reach-in that we offer. We also have roll-in models for large production kitchens that can fit up to 14 speed carts in there. But we really like to offer a variety of these items. And with these different sizes, we can really meet the demand of any operator. Nobody is too small and nobody is too big.
That's awesome. I mean, I feel like, some people are going to say, oh, Noel, you're really sucking it up to Irinox. Oh, Noel, what's up with you and SoCal Gas? But here's the thing. I handpicked all of the sponsors this year, right? I didn't say, if you want to sponsor us, we need $5,000. I reached out to you guys and I was like, hey, I want you to be part of this. So I feel really natural throwing you these softball questions because I want you to hit it out of the park because I'm trying to make the world a safer place for pizza, right? And I've been talking about blast chilling for 10 years. And now finally clients are coming back to me after 5 or 6 or 7 years saying, hey, remember you were talking about blast chilling? Where can I demo a blast chiller? Or how do I need to change my dough? Or give me all the information, right? Because this is the time to make it work for people. Everybody's transitioning into kits and frozen pizza. When we come out of this thing, I think a lot of people in the restaurant business are going to have new revenue streams, and this is going to be a really important one.
Absolutely. And I also believe with the labor shortage that we're seeing, especially in the culinary field, these units operate on their own overnight if you need them to. You can keep feeding them all day. Let me show you a couple of the pizzas that we did earlier. So these came literally directly out of the oven, and we shock froze these immediately out of the oven. This allows us to preserve a moment in time, again, that you deem as the one you want to do. Maybe you want to just sell your crust, you're proud of your product. Maybe you make a sourdough crust or something like that. This machine will allow you to really, as you mentioned, you might be slowing down for lunch. Now you can start ramping up production for all of your other food items that you might want to start shipping all across the country.
Have you guys heard of Goldbelly?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, what they've done in the last year is unbelievable. Everybody from Chris Bianco on down is selling amazing frozen pizza through Goldbelly. I mean, I never would have thunk it a year ago. Never.
Yeah, it's really, I think that 2020 definitely helped with that as well. And I think that it is just, the new and next generation's idea of, hey, I live in LA, but I like a New York pizza. I would love that to get that delivered. Or I like a sandwich out of Miami. These are the things that, are just continuously going to progress in that way. And this is where just the Irinox blast chiller is just really, you cannot go without. And this will help your production. This will enable you to, keep producing even when anybody isn't there or missing. It really is a difference maker, and that's how we like to see ourselves. Irinox has been making blast chillers and shock freezers since 1989. This is what we do, and because this is what we do, we continuously keep setting the bar for the industry time and time again. I hate to say it this way, but it's kind of works that way. We're often imitated, never duplicated.
There you go. That's a good one. So let me ask you a question. As we open up our test kitchens, where are you today, and where is Jason, and how do we find Irinox in Southern California?
Well, Irinox in Southern California, I'm currently actually in the Food Equipment Agents test kitchen here in Anaheim. Jason, you asked about him. He's actually a gentleman behind the camera today, helping me make myself look as good as possible on camera. We've been planning all of this together, but, here in Anaheim, an amazing test kitchen. As you can see, it looks great. But we have test kitchen and test partners, rep groups, and regionals across the country. We have counterparts of mine that are spread all over the country. We have a northeastern regional, a southeastern regional. We have one in the central part of the country as well. And one of the beauties of Irinox is every one of those regional sales managers are trained chefs. We're industry professionals. We're not just, somebody that walks into your kitchen not understanding what it is that you're doing. We all have vast experience in the kitchen, maybe in private clubs, hotels, whatever you might want. But we understand the operations that we serve. And with that, we can offer training that will help you advance that. We might be able to find pressure points in your daily production cycles that you may have not seen. It is not about finding what may have gone wrong. It's about helping educate about what these machines can do.
Beautiful. I love it. Well, I want to say thank you to you, sir, and thank you to Jason for hosting today. I wish we could spend more time with you. I really love what you do, but we'll put a few links in the chat, and we'll follow up this event with an email so everybody can contact you that wants to. Thank you again. Pleasure doing business with you. Nice looking pies. Justin, what's going on over there?
Have a wonderful day.
Just wanted to say thanks, Sebastian. Looking forward to, blast chilling some beers at some point.